Thank you very much for joining the webinar. Now, before we kind of begin, I'm going to give a little bit of a background on what exactly BlazeMeter is and what we do. So BlazeMeter is a performance testing tool, and we expand beyond limitations of open source. Primarily in the beginning, we did strictly JMeter. Now we pretty much support any open source tool out there. If it's Gatling, Locus, the Grinder, even Selenium, you're able to run using BlazeMeter. Now, why use BlazeMeter when it's open source? So we expand beyond open source in a few different ways. The first being scalability. We have, the ability to do not only tests of hundreds of thousands, we do tests of millions of concurrent users, and we have, many, enterprise level clients that do tests of, of high volume of millions of concurrent users, almost, on a monthly basis. Now, you could even do tests of 10 million, and we've done it just, we did it before in the past, tests of even up to 10 million, and we can even surpass that if needed. Now, our reporting is very, very comprehensive, and if you're familiar with open source, with JMeter, Gatling, the reporting is very, very frustrating, very difficult to analyze. With BlazeMeter, you can very easily find the bottlenecks. If you're doing shift left testing and testing during CI, you're able to view your KPI trends and to see exactly how the test improves over time. And you could compare reports very easily. This is something that's obviously very, very difficult when using open source. Now, on top of that, we have integrations, right? We integrate with APM, application performance monitoring tools like New Relic, Dynatrace, App Dynamics, very, very easily. And you're able to view all your CPU, memory, all the server-side metrics within BlazeMeter. And then we also integrate with CI tools. We integrate with Jenkins, TeamCity, Bamboo. Any CI tool in the world, you're able to integrate with BlazeMeter. And this is kind of where we introduce shifting left. And this is a terminology that we use for testing earlier within your development pipeline. Testing more frequently, more often, and finding bottlenecks very early on within the development instead of at the end. And obviously this saves you a lot of money, a lot of resources, and a lot of time. So with no further ado, let's go ahead and jump into BlazeMeter. So let's go to a.blazemeter.com. This is how the dashboard looks like. On the left, you have all the recent test runs. On the right, you have all the recent updated tests. Down below, the usage report. And you could see exactly who ran which test. Obviously, this is my own personal account. All the tests were run by me, but we have clients who literally have hundreds, even thousands of users all on the same account. You can have multiple workspaces, multiple projects, and BlazeMeter is really, enterprise ready. And this obviously is another thing that's very difficult with open source. You can have a single sign-on as well, which gives you a lot of flexibility. Now you could see some of these tests, right, were run from different locations. So you have the ability to generate the load from different geographic locations around the world. You even have the ability to do, different networks, mobile, Wi-Fi at the same time, or only mobile, only Wi-Fi, and I'll show you exactly how you can do that as well. And you could see I have different executors, different types of tests. Some of them are JMeter tests, some of them are Torus tests, and some of them are even mobile tests. And you can even see maybe some of them are even functional tests. You're even able to use Torus to run Appium as a functional test. This is something new that we started doing in BlazeMeter as well. So let's click create test. You can see the different options of tests that we could run. The first option is the JMeter test, which is very, very simple. If you're using a JMeter, all you have to do is upload your script. Now, whatever runs locally with JMeter will run in BlazeMeter. So CSV dataset config, any parameters, a plugin that you're using, if it works locally, it'll be 100% supported by BlazeMeter. All you have to do is upload your script into BlazeMeter. The next type of test is the URL API test. So if you're testing something very basic, one URL, or one API and you don't necessarily want to create a JMeter script for it or any other script for it, you can just do it through the URL API test. The multi-test is what gives you the flexibility to generate the load from different geographic locations around the world. And different networks at the same time. You can even run different scripts all at the same time. And something cool you could do is, for example, you could run some Selenium, a few threads of Selenium, and also run a big script of JMeter. So you're actually testing, the functional side and also how the load looks like, the backend from all the HTTP requests from within the JMeter script. Now, Taurus. I'm assuming many of you heard of Taurus before. Taurus is an open source tool which we created. Now, what it is, think of it as a wrapper. It runs JMeter, it runs Gatling, Locus.io, the grinder. So you could run many different, run many other open source tools within BlazeMeter. Now, something else which is really cool that enables you to do is to completely create your code in command line. So Taurus is open source as well. You could install it locally. When you install it, it'll automatically download JMeter because it uses JMeter in the background. Now, you could, let's say you have a team of developers who also want to start doing testing. They want to start shifting left, testing and development, maybe, but they don't know JMeter. They don't have the JMeter skills. So you're able to completely create the script in command line in YAML JSON format. So it's another way to run your test in BlazeMeter, and obviously this as well could be integrated as part of your CI pipeline, for example, Jenkins or TeamCity, or you're able to have YAML files sitting in your repository and simply execute it with every build, with every commit, and literally have tests running in BlazeMeter 5 minutes after a line of code is created. WebDriver is for Selenium, mobile testing, and API functional testing is more for functional testing. Let's focus on the JMeter test. So this is how JMeter looks like. Here you could create the load, select the location, set pass failure criteria, integrate the APM. Now, all you have to do is upload your script over here. You can even upload straight away a Gatling script or a Selenium script. I'm going to go ahead and create a JMeter script with something called a Chrome extension. So the Chrome extension is free. You could download it from the Chrome store, and it's very straightforward. Let's just give this a name over here. Then click record. And it records all my HTTP, HTTPS requests. So let's go to example for laptops. All right, this is obviously a fake e-commerce shop. Let's do add to cart. Okay. Let's go to my cart. Let's click place order. Give this a name, credit card information, purchase. Okay. Let's go ahead and stop the recording now. Now we could even, see what we recorded. This will run through the scenario so we know exactly what we have in our script. Here it's placing the order. Thank you for your purchase. Wonderful. So let's go ahead now and export this to JMeter. So let's click edit the script. We could see exactly which requests are recorded. Now I could obviously export to JMeter, and this is what I'll be doing, but you also have the option to export this to Taurus and get a YAML file, which obviously also could be executed in BlazeMeter. Or I could even run it directly through the Chrome extension. But let's go ahead and export to JMeter. And then what downloads is the .jmx file. Now this obviously I could open up with JMeter. Let's do that. This is JMeter for whoever's not familiar with JMeter. Let's open it up in my downloads. Okay, so you can see it comes with the header manager, the variable manager. I can see the different thread groups here. All different pages which it recorded. Now this is very cool when testing, anything that's web-facing, an e-commerce shop or something like that. Obviously, if it's APIs, you can do it all manually and create the script using Taurus or using JMeter. Now, it's completely up to you. The recorder just records the basic HTTP, HTTPS requests. If I want to do something more advanced, you'd want to do that, in the JMeter level, or in Taurus, where you could add CSV files, do dynamic parameters, maybe set up assertions, and the sky's the limit, right? You could even set up, ifs and whiles and add logic. It's completely up to you. So let's go ahead and upload this script right now to BlazeMeter. Let's run this script, this very basic script. Now over here, you're able to configure the load. So let's, for example, 500 users. We could set the duration. Let's set it to 1 hour. We could set up the ramp up. And here you can see the ramp up is going to reach 500 users. I could add steps, which is very cool. Or if I'm trying to scale up and break it, I could see, for example, at what step did it break at. Okay, excellent. So over here, you're able to add multiple different geographic locations. You could decide exactly what percent you want to come from each different location. Failure criteria, I could set thresholds. For example, if the response time average is greater than 2,000 milliseconds, or if the error percent is greater than 10. This is especially cool when doing CI testing, what we call shifting left, because you're able to set thresholds in every single test that you run, or even schedule tests run automatically, and you're notified if they pass or if they fail. So you don't necessarily have to go and analyze every single test. You could say, okay, I get a notification when I trigger a test and the response time is too high. I could get a notification through Slack, through email, and then my whole team could get the notification, go ahead and jump into that test and see, okay, what happened? How come the failure criteria didn't pass? Or how come it passed? Over here with the APM integrations, so by doing this, I'll be able to view the CPU, the memory within BlazeMeter. It's very, very straightforward. You literally just, put in your APM credentials. You could see all the APM metrics within BlazeMeter. In network emulation, over here you have the ability to emulate the network. 3G, Wi-Fi, and it's predefined for you. Again, to make the load as realistic as possible. So let's go ahead and run the test. I could run a debug test first of all, but let's go ahead and launch the servers. The test is now spinning up. And these are all the locations which I selected. So once these servers are spun up, I will be able to view the reporting in real time. Now, it's important to say that if you don't have the technical expertise to create the script yourself, we also do provide professional services, which is really top of the line, and we could do the whole service from A to Z. So we could also create the scripts for you, do the scripting, and we could even run the tests in BlazeMeter for you. So it's completely up to you how you want to use BlazeMeter, but it's good to know that we definitely do provide professional services if needed. So while this is spinning up, I'm going to go ahead and jump into an example of a report that I have over here. And this is the summary page, right? Over here, you could see, okay, the max amount of users that I ran, the average throughput, error percent, response time. And down below, you're able to see the two, most comprehensive graphs, right? You could over here see the ramping up. The users ramped up to 364. But over here, I can see that I have a bottleneck at 174. The hits per second drop. That means I have left requests onto my servers. Now, why does that happen? We could see it's because the response time goes from flat to spiking. So this is obviously a very clear bottleneck, which I could pass on with saying, okay, the max I could hold before everything starts spiking up is 174. Timeline report, you're able to see all the different KPIs. Over here, you can see the virtual users, the hits, the errors. I can see the average response time for each different request. Now, again, whatever's in your script, this is what you'll be seeing. So if it's in your YAML script, in your Torah script, or in your JMeter script, you'll see the different requests. And you'll see, okay, what's the response time for each different request. And now you also have the option to do, a waterfall report here and to get even more detail. Request stats, this is the raw data. So the nitty, the gritty, the 90th percentile, 95th percentile. This could all be downloaded as a CSV file. You could also export all this data via API, and you'll get it in JSON format. So, BlazeMeter, not only could you obviously run tests through API, and this is what's being done when you run it through your local terminal or run it with your CI tool, you could also export all our data via API. So let's jump into our documentation, guide.blazemeter.com. And by the way, we have, articles on everything, not only the APIs, we have, articles on getting started in JMeter Academy, we have a Taurus Academy, and literally tons and tons of resources. So it's all documented, and we obviously have webinars, and it's all very, very simple and very easy to understand. Let's go to APIs. So you can see retrieve logs. You can get the request stats report, for example. This is how it all looks like, the request stats in JSON format. Now, every account has an API key. So even if you open up a free account right now, you'll have an API key which you could use in BlazeMeter. So this is how you could trigger your test to run into your BlazeMeter account. This API key you can use within Jenkins or within your local terminal. Okay, so we have engine health. The engine health is the CPU and memory of the BlazeMeter engines. Each engine could support up to 500 threads. But if let's say I ran 1,000 threads on one load engine, I'd see the CPU and memory spiking up very, very high, above 60%. And then it could potentially crash. So this is why we recommend to only test up to 500 threads per engine. Errors, you could see the errors for each different request, exactly which request had the most amount of errors. You obviously have the timeline report, which is really cool, so you can see exactly when these errors happened within your test. Original test configuration, you're able to see what you spun up, the users, the scenario, which is really detailed. Now, executive summary, this sums up the report, so you could share with your senior management, where you add the logo of the company, make your own conclusion, whatever you found out. You can see the average throughput, response time, and the most important metrics, which are the top 5 errors, the top 5 responses, and this is all printable as PDF. Okay, so let's go back to the test. You could obviously share your test with anybody. So you simply, share the test. They could, it's a shareable link that you could send to anybody. They could view the test. You could see the test in real time. That's something that you can't do, for example, with JMeter or with open source tools, and that's something you can do with BlazeMeter. You can even make real-time changes to your test within BlazeMeter. So let's show an example of this is an example of a test. If I had multiple locations here, I'd be able to select which location. I'd be able to even select the scenario. You could compare the tests very easily. But let's go ahead and show you another example of a CI test, right? This could be a test that I run with Jenkins. Maybe not a test of 10 million concurrent users, but maybe only a lower concurrency, but something that I run very, very frequently. It could be, again, with every commit or every time I update my repository. You have a lot of options. And here we could see the trends, so like the last 25 tests, the last 50 tests, the last 100 tests. And this is the beauty of shifting left, right? Testing much more often and much more frequently. And all the reporting is saved in BlazeMeter, which enables you to share and collaborate very, very easily. So we touched upon JMeter, running it for multiple different geographic locations, the URL API test for a very basic scenario, the multi-test running different networks, locations, scenarios at the same time, and Taurus, which is very, very cool, gives you a lot of flexibility on creating your test. It could all be done within code. You could use it to leverage other open source tools, and you could even run, Appium of a functional test in BlazeMeter. Let me show you a quick example on how Taurus looks like. So this is an example of a YAML file. Okay, you can see over here it's using JMeter, and it's very, very simple. You set the concurrency, the ramp up, the hold for. It's all very human readable, and it's hitting blazedemo.com. This is a very simple example. Okay, this is another example which I'm actually leveraging an existing JMX script that I created. So again, you could not only create your scripts using Taurus, you could leverage existing scripts. This script, for example, I created using the Chrome extension. When you noticed when I recorded using the Chrome extension at the beginning of the demo, I had the option either to export to JMeter of a JMX or to export to Taurus as a YAML. So you have the option on how exactly you want to create your script. Now, this could all be run locally using your local terminal. So the command for Taurus is very simple. It's bzt. If I want to run test.yaml, I simply do test.yaml, and it could run locally. Now, the next level is obviously to run it in BlazeMeter, and I do that again for the reporting, for the scalability, and to collaborate with my teams, and to view all the different trends for all the reporting is saved to BlazeMeter. And that can be done simply with the command -cloud. The -cloud is the API key. I configured it before, and I'll show you an example how that's done. This could all obviously be done as well within your CI tool. So for example, in your execution shell in Jenkins, or you're also triggering it to BlazeMeter through API. So that's kind of, a general overview of BlazeMeter. We'll have to wait for this to spin up. It's taking a little while. Obviously, we definitely recommend anybody who's interested in Taurus or to know more details on, for example, the waterfall report and to get more detail on the reporting, or if anybody has on-premise requirements, or wants to see an example on how full-blown CI pipeline looks like when integrated with BlazeMeter, with Taurus, we'd be happy to hop on a call, more detailed call, to go and explain more in detail how it looks like and how exactly to cater your specific needs. And here you can see the test is spinning up. Okay, so to reach us, you could obviously, we have a 24/7 chat on our website. You could just simply log into the chat, ping somebody that you'd like to speak with, an account manager you'd like to have a demo. You could also request a demo on our website, and we'd be more than happy to help you. Now, just a quick note about the chat. So our site, if you noticed, has chat, 24/7 chat for if you're running into any issues, you need to speak with somebody, you can always go to the chat. We also have top of the line support. So we have a very good SLA. You could simply open up a support ticket for anything that you need, any technical issue, and our support team will get back to you very, very quickly. You can see right now the test spun up. So this is how Taurus looks like. It's definitely not the BlazeMeter reporting that we just saw. It kind of looks like 1980s reporting. But again, it is very, very cool. It is running it locally, and if you notice here, I could see the users ramping up, and I could see the response time. So let's go ahead and cancel this. Now, instead of running it locally, we'll do the -cloud, which I explained earlier. So bzt test.yaml -cloud. So now instead of running it locally, it runs it in BlazeMeter and saves all the information, all the data within BlazeMeter. So it's easily accessible for all your teams. You're able to view the KPI trends, what I showed earlier. Remember when I showed the last 25, 50, 100 tests, you're able to view that. Another cool example, if I could run a YAML file, which is an assertion, for example, I could set a pass failure criteria in a YAML and run it with test.yaml, for example, and then I'm notified if my criteria isn't passed. And I could, again, get a notification by email, by Slack, and to go in and check in what happened in this test. And that's more around our shift left capabilities. So, we really cover both. We cover, the shift right, the big test of 10 million, and we also do the small tests of, 150 concurrent users, part of your CI pipeline, and to test continuously. So I do see I have a problem here, so I have to go ahead and check in why the dash cloud isn't working, but essentially it triggers it to run within BlazeMeter. Okay, so I think that pretty much wraps it all up. Again, we'd love to have a personal one-on-one demo to go more in detail on any other features and any other questions you have. And that's it for today. It was great speaking with everyone, and I hope you have a wonderful day.